Hi everyone, Shell here and welcome. Today I'm going to be sharing with you this fantastic German chocolate cheesecake. If you enjoy things like this, stick around and watch me make it. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you'll be notified when I upload more videos like this. So let's make a German chocolate cheesecake. So for our coconut pecan filling and topping, we are going to start with 1 can of evaporated milk, and I've already opened this, you can see here. We're going to put it in a saucepan here on the burner, and I have a pretty large saucepan just because once we start adding, at the end of this mix, once we start adding the coconut and the chopped pecans, then this pot's going to get pretty full. So that's 1 can of evaporated milk. That's a 12-ounce can. And then 4 egg yolks. Okay. And I have some butter vanilla extract here, or emulsion rather. And I am going to put 1½ teaspoons of this in here. I'm just going to just eyeball that. Okay. And we're going to mix this up real good with a whisk just to make sure everything's good and combined. Okay, once we can see that's real good and combined, we are going to add in 1½ cups of granulated sugar. And we're just going to give that a good stir. Just again, making sure everything's good and combined. And then we're going to add in 3/4 cup of cubed butter, and I am using salted butter today. You certainly can use unsalted, it's fine. It'll still work the same, but I like the the salted butter just enhances the flavor. And then we're just going to keep stirring this for about, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes until we get it to a pudding-like consistency. Okay, so we've got this to a pretty thick consistency here. So we are going to take it off the heat and add in our chopped pecans and our shredded coconut. And of course it's going to thicken up even more as it cools as well. But we've got it pretty thick now. So, and you want a lot of this because, like I said, we're going to be using this for filling and topping, okay? So you want to make it in a big pot. So now we're going to stir in 1¼ cups of chopped pecans. And then we're going to stir in about 2 3/4 cups of shredded sweetened coconut. Okay, and just want to stir that, fold it together, and get it real good and incorporated. And you can see adding those to it makes it even thicker already. And you want to start with this part of the recipe first because this is going to need to cool down completely. So we're going to mix this together real good, and while this is cooling, we're going to work on our crust. So at this point you want to preheat your oven to 325 degrees, and I have my springform pan, and I just sprayed it just a little bit with some nonstick spray. And I've got in this bowl, I have a 1/4 cup of salted melted butter, and I'm using the chocolate graham cracker crumbs for this one. You can also use just regular Oreos to make your crust as well. And if you do that, you'll just need to chop them up real good or grind them up, and you can actually leave that icing in there because it'll help keep it together. And I'm going to be using 2 cups of this. So I'm just going to take this here and just measure out 2 cups and put it right into that melted butter. And that's about what I've got here left in this box. So there's 2 cups of our chocolate graham cracker crumbs. And now I'm going to stir this up real good. Just stir that up real good with a spatula until it's all nice and moist. You want it the consistency of like a wet sand. Okay, so I did overdo it a little bit with the crumbs. I probably have about 2½ cups of crumbs in here. So I melted 2 more tablespoons of butter, and I'm just gonna combine this in the bigger bowl. And mix it up real good so we can get our crust done. Now we've got our chocolate crust at a wet sand consistency. So we're going to put it in our pan and just get it all around and on our sides a little bit. And I did make quite a bit, so I think I'm not going to start with all of it. See how that goes. Now for this, I like to use just the bottom of a flat glass. And just going to move it around nice and evenly. And I'm going to kind of push against the sides because I do want it to go up the sides a bit. Okay, and now we're going to pop this into the oven at 325 degrees for about 10 minutes. And we'll work on our cheesecake filling. So for our cheesecake filling, we are going to start with 24 ounces of cream cheese, okay, at room temperature because you want it to be soft so it'll, just incorporate nice and smooth and easily. So to that, we're going to add 1 cup of granulated sugar. We are going to add 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. And in here, I have melted 8 ounces of German chocolate. So we're going to add that in as well. Just want to get it all in there. Don't want to waste any of that. And then we're going to just mix this all up with a hand mixer until it's nice and creamy and smooth. Now once you feel like you've got that good and incorporated, we're going to add in 4 eggs, but we're going to add them in one at a time. Okay, and I did mix that on a slow speed when I incorporated the eggs. So now I'm just gonna take my spatula and just give it a good spin and make sure I've got everything off the bottom, off the sides, and everything just mixed in really well, okay? So now I am going to add 1 cup of sour cream. And I'm also going to add a half teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm using, again, the butter vanilla emulsion. I just really like this one because it has that butter flavor to it. So I'm gonna get that in there, and I'm gonna give this a good mix and make sure we've got everything, like I said, good and incorporated, and then we'll start putting together our cheesecake. So we've got that mixed up real nice. And we're gonna start filling up our cheesecake pan. So here you see we have our crust that baked for 10 minutes and it is completely cooled. And I'm gonna go ahead and add some of this in. And I don't wanna put too much to start with. I just wanna make sure I get the bottom good and covered. And I'm gonna spread that out. Okay, and now we're going to bring in our coconut and pecan mix, and I'm going to put a layer of that in here, and I'm going to try to just kind of spread it out all over. I'm just going to spread a nice layer. I want to use about half of it in the inside, and then I want to save about half of it for the topping. So I'm just going to try to spread it around as evenly as I can. It's kind of tricky to spread it without moving your cheesecake around. So you just get it in there as best you can. We just, like I said, want to get a layer across the center here. But this is going to be a really thick cheesecake. After I baked the crust, I did turn my oven down to 300 degrees. So we're going to actually bake the cheesecake on 300 degrees. And I'm just going to spread this out and kind of see if I got it about where I want it, because this pan is not going to take too much more. And with cheesecake, it's usually pretty easy just to kind of jiggle it to where you want it to go, and it'll lay even quite nicely. Now you can wrap your pan in foil and sit it inside of a shallow roasting pan or something of the sort and put water in it so that you have a water bath when you're baking this. But I will tell you what I prefer to do. Typically I will take one of my jelly roll pans, which will be your shallow baking pan. I like to take that and add water to that pan and put it on the bottom rack of my oven. And that way I don't have to wrap my cheesecake in foil and all that stuff. To me it works just as well. So, but like I said, it's personal preference on that. So this is full enough. So we're going to pop this in the oven at 300 degrees for about an hour and 30 minutes. And then we'll be back to take a look at it. So the cheesecake actually went for an hour and 20 minutes, and then I turned it off, and I actually let it cool in the oven for an additional 30 minutes. And you can see underneath here the pan I was referring to. Okay, so here's our finished German chocolate cheesecake. It is still a tad bit warm, so I'm going to sit it here, and it's cool enough that I can go ahead and put the topping on it. I'm going to leave it in the pan while I chill it for a little while. So I'm going to go ahead and just get my topping. And I'm going to just spread a nice layer of the coconut pecan topping on there. And then I'm going to put it in the fridge to chill. I'll probably go ahead and just let it chill overnight because it's pretty late here. and then we'll take it out in the morning and unpan it. Our cheesecake is topped, and as I said, I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the fridge overnight and let it chill, and then I'm going to pop it open in the morning and drizzle it with some chocolate. Okay, so our German chocolate cheesecake is chilled and ready, and here I have 4 ounces of German chocolate and 1/4 cup of heavy cream, and I've just pumped that in the microwave for 30 seconds and just kind of let that all combine. And I am going to put it in a piping bag and drizzle our cheesecake. Okay everyone, so our German chocolate cheesecake is complete. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And also don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you'll be notified when I upload more videos in the future. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you next time.